Summerland kids. I'm
You
Jericho.
got your coffee, bro.
Yeah, I got my coffee. I'm Jericho. This is Aaron. I always kind of confuse us. I say I'm Aaron. This is no. Oops. I'm Jericho.
I'm
This is
Bill,
Aaron.
and this is Ted. Wait, that's Ted. We're on a great adventure. It's Jericho says it's Casual Friday, so I wore my casual sport coat and I got my casual tie.
Nice.
I'm gonna tie it. I swear. I swear
Yeah.
I'm gonna tie my tie there.
I only learned one method of tying ties, but apparently there's a lot of methods. Yeah, that's a good way to go.
So this is Casual Friday. I'm gonna sport the sport coat and the
Exactly.
headband.
And I'm going to send you. I'm going to give you some choices on colors at some point, so you can choose some ties. I'll send you some ties for fun. And then one of my old buddies from junior high commented, said, "I like your ties, man. I'm enjoying watching what you're wearing." And so I'm going to send my buddy Eric Boyd from junior high school, Carpinteria Junior
That
High.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was a Carpinteria
Was
guy.
he ever in Summerland?
I don't know if he was in Summerland. I just remember a lot of heads from Carp Junior High for sure. And Eric was one of them. And Eric's on Facebook, and he's super, like, he's active and fun, and putting up funny stuff. And so he's like keeping the humor on Facebook. That's what we need.
No, I think we do. I had a weird experience yesterday. I think I streamed it. I went into the Suno thing, right? And I had written a couple poems I was going to put in there, but I just didn't feel like going to get my mouse so I could copy and paste. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to do random stuff. And the prompt that was in the prompt area was just like so silly and weird. It was almost like the AI was saying, "Help, I'm stuck. I'm trapped in a music creating factory," or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was weird. I put a couple prompts in there, and I could just tell that the AI is kind of picking up on my vibe.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Because what you're doing is you're producing some music using AI, right? And
yeah.
then you're also you're sharing your music like a DJ would, like a radio show style sometimes.
Yeah, kind of. I'm trying to organize my content. I'm a free spirit, as you can tell by the headband and the beard.
Exactly.
And so I like to explore different things. I don't like getting pigeonholed into too much. And so I do like, I guess I make a lot of different content.
That's cool. That's awesome. I like when you're doing the screen share and you're showing on the back end with your YouTube channel how you're organizing things. I saw that yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I was just trying to figure out, okay, so I'm doing the live streams, coffee. Yeah. You got your coffee, right, Jericho?
Coffee, Summerland kids.
And so that's like an open conversation, but then I have people that want to do like a single interview or something.
That's great. It's cool.
And then I do the screen share thing where I just kind of show what I'm doing to build out my content, my YouTube channel, to create the songs.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's
amazing, man.
And so I try and show that part of it. But then in that process, I'm actually creating a bunch of songs, putting my poetry in audio form, even though it's not my voice. And so that my poetry gets out there, this music I'm producing gets out there.
That's awesome.
And then I also do lives, which my girlfriend said, looking for beats. Huh?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I was looking for beats. Couldn't find them. It's Casual Friday. And she said it was funny, so it's all right. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, getting into it. So I got my cargo container delivered yesterday and loaded in a bunch of filing cabinets. Like you said, it looks like an office space. Exactly. It's like I'm finally kind of seeing the method to my madness coming into effect, with the use of the filing cabinets holding my hoarding. style. So
No, that's cool. So you're going to start moving out of your office that you're in
yeah,
right now that you're
yep,
renting.
yep. I'm renting an office right now. Been working on my grandfather Bill Loggins archive, and putting things in 3-ring binders and stuff, because it's just basically all the paperwork from my grandfather's cartoon office got stored at my aunt's house for years. And then I recently got it, so I'm going through the collection and putting things in some order as to his life and what he did. So it's a finding, like it's like an architectural, or what do you call it? What's that word for? Yeah, I'm blanking on the word right now. Um, Digging up treasures like
It's
dinosaurs.
archaeology.
Archaeology. So it's like being an archaeologist, but from a 1940s, 50s, 60s office. So it's everything's in paper. There's no computers, involved in any of it. It's all analog paper format. So I am shooting some images of things and sharing them to the Katie Keene fan club on Facebook. And I just had a friend of mine yesterday from Santa Barbara who met a friend, and that woman moved to Santa Barbara specifically because she knew that's where Katie Keene came from when she was a little girl. So
Wow.
yeah, so I just got her connected on Facebook to invite her to the Katie Keene fan club, on Facebook. And so I'm excited to speak with her because, essentially she made a big life decision to move perhaps from the Midwest to Santa Barbara just because she remembers the pictures as a kid, and that inspired her to move there. So that's incredible.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, when you think, okay, Beverly Hills 90210, or
Yep.
some of these other beach scenes, Miami Vice or something, where you're like,
Right.
oh, I want to go live there.
Yeah. No,
But
for
this
sure.
person you're saying from the comic strip and the comic character decided, I want to be in Santa Barbara because of a comic.
Book. Yeah, because the comic book. Because my grandfather would oftentimes include himself and his family in the pictures, and then he'd include the Santa Barbara Old Spanish Mission, and a few like little Santa Barbara factoids occasionally in the comic book. And of course, there was a lot of fan based with the participation. My grandfather had kids send him ideas for the comic strip, and then he would include the ideas. If it was something he felt like it should be included, he included it and give them credit on the page in the comic book. So you'd open the comic book and see like, oh, here's a dress drawn by Susie Johnson, and then that reader would be like so stoked. It's like almost like a little bit of a you know fandom, at least like within the kid group. He encouraged kids to become what is it like mailing each other and stuff, like a little essentially like a fan club in the old days was all about sending your friends letters in the mail. So
Yeah, what do they call that?
yeah, I'm blanking on the name.
When you write the letters back and forth
There was
to some pen pal.
God, I can't think of the name. It was like when we were watching cartoons as a kid, because of course we had television before TV. The kids, all they had was comic books. I mean, there really wasn't much for kids back then, other than when you go to the store with your mom and you saw the comic books or the magazine rack. In the old days, it was newspapers and magazines. Was like that was where you got your news and your information and you had fun. So I guess the comic strips were originally in newspapers, and then someone had the idea of let's get a bunch of these newspaper comic strips and put them in one book, and then sell it on the newsstand for 10 cents, like a little pilot program. And then that actually worked, and they had success with that. So that became a whole thing where comic books were kicked off, and then the characters started to develop. And there's two guys. I don't know if I get their names right, but there's two young men who basically pitched the idea for Superman to another company, and Superman got bought for like $250 or something, a really low price. And then later on, they did get more credit as they deserved it because they essentially invented the most popular comic book character ever, Superman. So.
I did follow some of that comic book stuff, like you know, you hear about Disney, these big
Yeah.
names, you know, Stan
Marvel.
Lee,
Yeah.
Marvel,
DC.
and it was kind of a weird relationship between the artists and the
Often it
publishers.
was a weird relationship. Yeah. Yeah. They would get the artists, unfortunately, a lot of times got like deals where it was like, they got paid by the page. It's almost like getting paid by the song. I watched what's that movie with Jimmy Cliff? The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff, and it was something like, "I'll pay you $20 for that song," and he's like, in the movie, he's like, no, he wanted to hold out and hold the material himself or find a better contract. So it's sort of sad that those original creators, in a lot of cases, didn't get the real credit they deserved. I mean, the publishing company took and ran with their work, and of course they got it out there, which is great. And some of them had some degrees of success. The men that stayed in the business for the long run, they just kept producing, and then they became like Stan Lee, like a legend or a hero, a folk hero in the mix. So, anyways,
That makes my brain go into a weird
right,
place, because it is. It's like, okay, Elon Musk, is he out there with a welder and a machine cutting metal for the rockets? No.
right,
Is he maybe even engineering the rockets? Maybe a little bit, but doesn't he hire engineers? So these people, these great people, were like, oh, this person's so great, whether it's Stanley in comics or these people. But you got to realize, what are they doing? Really, they're putting together a team, right?
absolutely,
So Elon Musk, yeah, okay, he did the PayPal program in his game and sold and got to a certain level, but really, greatness requires teamwork, doesn't it?
absolutely, yeah. And there was a lot
I mean,
of unrecognized people too, like the women in comics. Most recently, a lady named Trina Robbins. She just passed away, unfortunately. R.I.P. Trina. She was up in San Francisco. She was one of the first, like, alternative comics. Was started out probably in the late '60s, mid '60s, I'm guessing. Which brought in a lot of adult material and little, edgy content. And she was one of the first women contributors to that kind of alternative comic books, like Fabulous Fury, Freak Brothers, and Zap Comics, and Arcrum, and all those funny artists we remember as kids, probably because they were more edgy. So Trina did a lot of work with women in comics because they were oftentimes unrecognized. Trina was actually the first artist to do Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman previously had been done all by men. Men were the only guys inking it and the only guys doing the stories. So for a moment, there was an opening, and she seized the moment. I'm thinking in the 1970s, and got in there to actually pen the story, write the stories, do the work for Wonder Woman. So she's the only woman artist to ever do Wonder Woman.
no, that's super cool. I'm going to take this opportunity because my woman over here handed me this piece of paper, and she wants to know, what was his comic strip
My
called?
grandfather's comic strip. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did Katie Keene. So Katie Keene was a pinup girl, started in 1945 in Wilbur Comics #5. So it was published through Archie Comics, and I think a friend of his named Don Dean, he's another Archie comic book artist, brought my grandfather in, and essentially, my grandfather already probably had a few stories. He did before Katie Keene. He had other characters, but Katie Keene was the one that was in 1945 got accepted and approved to be published. And it started out as like short five page or so, is like basically a story within a story. So you get a Wilbur comic book, and then you'd be reading Wilbur, and then, oh, here's Katie Keene on page 12 or something for like 3 pages. But from there it caught on because the kids were asking for it, and he eventually got his own title, and Katie Keene became a thing.
1945, yeah. Katie Keene.
Yeah, she's over here. She's on the podcast now.
Nice.
The Peanut Gallery is what I call her. I don't know if you can hear her. Yeah. But she's my brain. Cool. She researches stuff and knows stuff.
That's awesome.
And that's cool because it makes me think. Remember Tracy Ullman?
Yeah.
and she had a little segment called The
Of
Simpsons.
course.
Just a little stupid little 3-minute cartoon or whatever segment, and it turned into one of the biggest TV series ever.
It's
The
amazing.
Simpsons.
Yeah, there's so many incredible stories. Like, you know, even like Fat Albert. I think a friend of my family, Floyd Norman, worked on Fat Albert in the 70s, in the old days when they were doing that. I mean, we grew up with cartoons. Of course, like I said, with TV, it was just like that was what was up. I mean, the Smurfs, the Super Friends, Scooby Doo. That was our life.
Oh, I love the Super Friends, man. That was like, oh, I knew about Superman and I knew about some of these other Batman. And then all of a sudden there's a League of Justice.
Exactly. That was...
And there's all these other superheroes. And then there's all of Doom. Oh, all the super criminals. Oh my gosh, that was the greatest thing back in the day. I don't know. I actually found a picture. I think I put it on minds.com for my Minds account, which I'm not very active over there. But that's what I took a picture. I'd search online, Hollow Justice, and there was a building. I think it's like a Capitol building in one of these states or something. And it's got the arc, and it just looks like the Hollow Justice from the cartoon. Right. I think they maybe modeled it after that. That's classic. Cool that, like you're saying, your grandpa would draw the missions in Santa Barbara, and model some of the characters after his family. I think that life has so much to offer, you know, as far as life and putting it in different genres, putting it in a cartoon or a movie.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, it's just when you know, coming from you know, Ohio was like a hotbed, Toledo, Ohio, in the time, because, you know, I guess the city was big enough where there was, like, you know, a large department store, a newspaper, those kind of things. So my grandfather, and he had like 4 brothers. They all worked for the newspapers, because that was essentially like your publishing super center, where if you got a job working for the newspaper as an artist, especially, and as a cartoonist, you were busy. So you had deadlines like all the time, every week, every day. There was something going out. So these guys were like churning out stories constantly for the comic strips, you know.
It's a difficult thing. I mean, I've been doing a little mindset thing in the morning where I try and write a quick poem before our meeting, kind of put that pressure on me, get it done while I'm having my first cup of coffee and waking up before our call. And it's, you know, the first couple weeks was maybe kind of a lot easier, I guess, because I had new, fresh ideas. Now I sit down and I'm like, oh, I can't write about that. I just wrote about that 3 days ago. I got to find a new topic. I got to find a new category. And I found myself doing the same thing with the AI app, where I'm like, oh, let's make some bluegrass. Let's make some pop music. Let's make some I made a heavy metal song. Pretty heavy duty, man. It's heavy duty. And, but I found that even it's weird because I'll put my poem in, and the music that the AI creates for the poem seems a lot better than if I just put a simple prompt in.
Oh yeah, I think the more you add to it, the more fascinating it becomes. Essentially, you know, one of my grandfather's friends, Alan Saunders, he's famous. His famous quote is, "Life is what happens when you're making other plans." That was his famous quote. And Alan was, they called him the dean of continuity strips. So he did one strip called Mary Worth. Essentially, these were like soap operas that had a continuity to it. So each week or each day you could look at the comic strip and catch where you left off last time. So it's just a continuous story with the same characters, and essentially a few new characters got brought in. And my name came from Mary Worth comic strip. Jerico was like an environmentalist, photographer guy, out writing stories and taking pictures. So my parents saw the name Jericho in the comic strip and were like, that's a fun name. Maybe, you know, we'll call him Jericho. So that's how I got my name. So
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I know that there's been a couple times I've misspelled it because of spell check.
Yeah.
I like that you change that they changed the spelling.
Yeah, you can see my name right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I was typing it in the show one day, and it came up spell check. So I'm just okay,
yeah,
spell check, change it to the correct name or whatever. And you actually you're like, no, they spelt it wrong.
yeah.
It's
So
funny.
there's
My name
there's
Aaron. Everyone
apparently
always said,
there's it comes from the Bible. Originally, Jericho was the place Jericho, the walls of Jericho. Was it Joshua fought the battle of Jericho? It's a whole song, and the walls came tumbling down.
yeah,
So
yeah. I remember. I
there's
know
a
about that. That's
biblical tie-in, but I'm the cartoonist tie-in instead of the Bible tie-in.
yeah,
So
yeah. Without the
yeah,
H in
without
it,
the H, exactly.
it's like you escaped the city before it got destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily we got born in born into Summerland, California, which is another magical, situation. Aaron and I
That's
both were
funny
born.
as heck because my mom tells me that my name was out of a book too.
Oh, classic. That's cool.
It was out of the Bible, and my father said, "We'll put the first name that comes up alphabetically, A. Ron, A.
Oh,
Ron."
wow. That's awesome. That's cool. That's classic, man. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's pretty interesting.
for sure. It's really, as kids, we don't at this point we don't understand how we got here. I mean, we kind of know, okay, our parents had relation, da da da, but it's pretty magical how we just popped into the Summerland bubble as kids, and it ended up being in this, magical playland, and living almost like a movie sequence through our whole childhood.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, and I think about it because the time we were growing up, if we had been in LA or Chicago or one of these big cities, stuff was going down. The Summer of
Yeah,
Love, 1969 just happened.
right.
Uh, I guess that, a lot of new things happened.
You know
Yeah,
what name comes after Aaron? Abdil and Abda.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Did you hear that? She said some stuff about my name.
Oh, classic. That's cool. Yeah,
But
so it's just, there's so
Deal.
much to it. I don't know if you've ever done any numerology or anything like that. I mean, I love all that stuff. Astrology, numerology. I mean, once in a while, I kind of like check in and see what's up. There is a lot of YouTube stuff on our personal astrology for the month or for the day or blah blah blah. That's it's kind of fun stuff to check out once in a while.
I don't study it a super lot. My sister
Yeah.
was really super into it.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
so I got a lot of information from that. And I've studied, just on my, how shall we say, theological path of trying
Uh-huh.
to understand what God is. I believe in God, but I mean, and I know basics of it, but I want to know more.
Yeah.
I want to know every aspect. So I study all people, all religions, and like some of them are ancient, and it goes way back to like I study some Vedic. Vedic is like India,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a area where they study Vedic astrology, which I've looked into, and it's people always say, "Oh, astrology, what's your sign?" Well,
Yeah.
they're talking sun sign,
Okay.
and so the sun sign is where the sun was when they were born. But when you study into astrology deeper, like Vedic astrology, it's also where you're at on the planet, the time of
Mm-hmm.
day, and where the different planets
Yeah.
are in the sky.
Wow.
So, like, what's your moon sign? Where was Venus aligned? And this all it creates that chart you may have seen
Yeah.
with all the different.
I have a chart somewhere. I have that chart.
Yeah, and I just think it's really interesting because one of the I guess you'd call it a secular Christian Gnostic
Okay.
branch. It's called not Zoroastrian, that's pre-Christian. Gnostic, Rosicrucian, the Rosicrucian,
Oh.
right? So I'm a book collector. I like to grab books, old
Yeah.
books, rare books at estate sales. And I got my hands on an old Rosicrucian book, as well as an old Mason book and other
Yeah.
books. But I found it very interesting because I did a little dive into that as far as how detailed the Rosicrucians go into birth dates, birth times, and how they structure their whole society, I guess, their religion, their group around these birthdays, and like I go back and forth. So now I'm going to go back to Vedic. A Vedic, they say this an auspicious day. That's a day where the sun and the moon line up correct to where good things happen. And there's certain days that are auspicious and certain things that are not. But I've always just kind of just done natural. Let's just see how I feel. I pick up the energy of the day. Back before I turned 50, I decided I'm going to shave my hair off on my birthday when I turned 50. And I just this last year, I look into it, and that very day was like a dark, not an auspicious day, but a darkness day, right? And to do the spiritual transformation that I had figured in my mind that I was going to do anyway. And I studied in what the meaning of hair and the meaning of shaving and all these traditions. Come to find out, when you do shave your head as an act of devotion or whatever, you do it on these low days, not on an auspicious day. Like you're going down on the low day. And that was like exactly the day I decided to cut my hair. So anyway, I understand the astrology, and I understand that if you choose to be in tune with nature, you'll pick up on a lot of seasonal thing, farmer almanac stuff. Where it's just like, this is just common sense stuff. You plant your corn in spring after the frost.
Right? Yeah. Like you said, it's mostly common sense stuff but I guess it gives the novice perhaps a little bit of guidance using the Farmer's Almanac to kind of, take it with a grain of salt, but yet, it's got some weight to it because it's obviously that book has been around for quite a long time, that Farmer's Almanac.
Well, I mean, do you ever go fishing? We're from the beach. When do the sharks bite?
Probably in the morning, right? Or no?
Full moons.
What's that?
On the full moons, right?
Yeah.
The fish know, they see the light, things change in our environment.
Yeah. Wow.
We're stupid if we don't pay attention to that.
There's so much stuff like that that's important. I remember there was a friend of mine worked for like a wilderness youth project. So thankfully there's some teachers out there that are working with the kids to, keep at least some of the kids tuned into to nature more so than they have been, because if they're not getting it from their parents, they got to get it from some teacher somewhere,
Yeah. Or just experiencing nature. I know we, as kids, as free range children in Summerland, we learned real quick in the winter time, even though it's beautiful and warm during the day, bring your sweater, because as soon as it gets dark,
absolutely,
dawn or dusk, eat it.
Those old days, those are the days we remember, for sure. The magic of the, and also being by the ocean, there was also a little bit of sometimes some coolness coming from the ocean, whether it be fog or, just a breeze in the evening. It's almost like if you're going to go sailing, you better bring a windbreaker and a jacket because it can get cold out there.
Yeah, and it changes quick.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it, Jericho. We've almost, let me look at the time.
28.
We're about a minute and a half to our 30-minute mark. Wow.
Summerland kids, Aaron and I, challenging ourselves to fire on all cylinders straight up early in the AM, Yeah.
No, I think it's cool. I was kind of watching the social media and I'm like, oh, people are watching. But then I thought, whatever, they're going to watch if they want. They're going to participate if they want. I'm going to keep doing what we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
And if you like it, great. If not, great. Yeah. But the people that are going to like it and start following and start commenting, we don't have to change for that.
We just appreciate, we're appreciating our company, Aaron and I, with each other, and just putting it out there to the public. Just we're just playing around. We're the Summerland kids. That's what's up. Yeah, exactly.
Casual Friday. I did a tie for you. I did a tie for you, bro. Look at the color.
I love it. It's beautiful, man. That's gorgeous. Wow. I love it.
This is one of my
That's
favorite
fucking
guys.
awesome, man. That's amazing. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Coffee with the Summerland kids. This is episode 11. So cheers to the one and the one. You know, 100%.
Yes, 1-1. Monday's the 12th. Wait.
Yeah, Monday. Will
Oh
be
yeah,
our
420
episode.
weekend, dude.
What's that?
We might be late on Monday because it's 420 weekend.
Yeah, exactly. LOL. Yeah, exactly. All the dispensaries have deals. So
Oh yeah. We gotta
support your local.
I gotta do the cut.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Support your local dispensaries. They're having sales on 420. I guess I heard Denver's having a festival. I saw on the morning news. I watched the Denver morning news, and they're having a 420 festival in Denver. So you know, for what it's worth, probably having some music and some outdoor fun that day. You know.
Oh yeah, I think there's one around here. It's becoming a thing. Maybe coffee with the Summerland kids. Maybe we'll get a cup.
Exactly.
I love this part of the show because I got to remember.
Oh, there's Tigger. I see Tigger. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm the only one. I'm the Tigger. But
Ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now.
All right. Good night or good day. Good day. All right. Cheers. Good night, everybody. Good day. Good morning.